So Chris, as it turns out, all those helicopter moms from the 90s were right. Doesn't matter if you have all the superpowers in the world, those goddamn nut allergies, they'll take you down every time.
They're going to get you. A little recap of this wild episode full of way too many uses of the word cunt and also way too many exploding heads.
We have Stormlander.
I'm a home front. I like the home front, but we'll go with Stormlander.
Holding rallies and breaking up families, abducting children. Starlight and her mother are captured by Black Noir, and she gets imprisoned in the Vought Tower. Huey and Lamplighter are hanging out, and they go on a little adventure that ends in quite a bang.
Begins with a porn bang, ends with another bang.
Mother's Milk and Mallory visiting the doctor. Billy, his relationship between him and his father and how bad that actually is, and actually what happened to his brother Lenny. Sweetest moment of the episode was Frenchie and Kimiko. She begins to teach Frenchie her sign language. And then we have Maeve finally taking an actual stand. She loses her girlfriend, but then stands up for Starlight.
If you're sitting here like us, eating an almond joy, being afraid of soups, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Come along for the ride.
So Chris, what'd you think of this week's episode?
Here's where I'm at. I think the show's good. I will not stop watching the show, but there was so much plot in this episode. A lot of it was very emotional and landed, and some of it was just so fast and so much happening that it just kind of happened in front of me, and not all of it resonated with me. Particularly the climax. I'll be honest, CSO of Vought Industries, who had showed up very briefly in season 1, sort of Homelander's dad, him being kind of the big person to die this episode, I was like, okay. That's, I guess.
One among many.
One among many. I mean, a dozen.
This was their red wedding. This was,
just hey,
we're going to kill a bunch of people in a room right now.
Because I think that's a great comparison. The red wedding comparison, we care about so many of those characters that we've been with for 2 seasons, 3 seasons in this case of the red wedding. And for them to die so suddenly and so unexpectedly was just traumatizing. And this, it was they're not in any rush to kill off any major characters. And that the kind of same happened here. It's just extras. They killed a bunch of extras and one major character. It just didn't feel as consequential as I think they meant it to feel. And it's okay, I guess this is frustrating. They don't get to have the hearing, but did we expect anything to change from that?
What was he like, Homelander? When he was a little boy, he was quite sweet.
The Billy Butcher story arc, I think, is obviously the most resonant one about, finding out what kind of person his dad was, how hard he was, how he raised him so tough that, his brother killed himself. Billy realizes later that, after talking to the doctor, that the doctor raised Homelander the same way Billy was raised by his father, so they are two sides of the same coin.
And hey, I want to point out a fantastic small role from John Noble from Fringe, as well as Lord of the Rings, if anybody remembers the Steward of Gondor. I have a feeling they're going to bring John Noble back. I don't think we're done with Billy's dad, because that's a pretty big name to be bringing in for just 5 minutes of screen time.
I need your help. I'm either still in the system or we're about to be swarmed by guards with AKs.
Wait, what?
I don't think I said it to you guys, but I was wrong. I had this feeling. I was oh, Lamplighter joining up with the boys. Shawn Ashmore, not too big of an actor, but big enough of an actor. Yeah, we're bringing him in, and it's going to be, Shawn Ashmore is going to be hanging out with the boys, and it's a new boy. Nope. Gone. Very gone. I guess I'll go with you. I felt like that came a little bit out of nowhere. I didn't feel he was really motivated, sitting there watching porn, making Huey uncomfortable. And he's oh yeah, let's go invade the tower. It's he's going to kill himself. Kind of an ignoble character and an ignoble end to him. But yeah, so I was wrong.
Great. Cool. Totally.
Maeve increasingly being alienated from Vought and from the Seven. And, I love the whole oh yeah, her girlfriend left her and now she's thrown herself into the arms of just some random generic model looking dude. And Ashley's no, you can't. We established you as a lesbian. That is your type now, and you are not allowed to have a complicated spectrum of sexuality. That is not what we established for you.
But again, that's another touching moment with Ashley when Maeve asked her to just be a human. She finally did. We saw Ashley not be a monster.
That opening sequence That was well done. They don't make this, this kind of basement dwelling guy into a complete, monster. Like, he's taking care of his mom and he's just kind of going through the motions of life, but he's just being inundated with these messages. And then it kind of twists and affects him. And the only disappointment I had was that they didn't follow up. The show is so obsessed with public opinion and perception and PR, and then they don't follow up. We just get a throwaway line from like Homelander and Stormfront where they're like, "Oh, it's too bad about that guy who got killed." And I just wish there was a little more like people calling out that's what we have to look forward to, is like more murders in the street or whatever. Like, they didn't seem to really follow up on that one.
Brings me no pleasure to tell you this. We had a mole in the 7. Starlight.
I can't believe this.
That's what happens these days, is there's a shooting, and it's how this kind of brainwashing and repetitive message kind of like seeps in, and it kind of makes them go a little bit crazy or start looking at the world, in the wrong way, a little too paranoid. And then the consequences of that is just completely brushed aside. It was, I thought, brilliantly set up. And then just, it's a line at a rally, but
Right.
That seems apropos as well.
I just will harvest your brother. Donate them to the right cause.
The cult with our old friend Eagle the Archer has been thrown out from the church because he didn't want to give up his relationship with his mom.
Eagle the Archer went full Leah Remini in this episode.
Luckily, it seems like A-Train's not so deep.
Well, he just got finished being discarded.
Right.
He can see what it looks
Right.
like. It just happened to him, so he's not cool with that.
The church leader tells him, like, "Oh, we've got a meeting. We're going to get you guys back into the 7. Clearly, he still wants that. That fame and fortune does mean something, but hopefully, maybe not going to be completely swindled by this, charlatans, snake oil salesmen, or whatever old-timey terms I can come up with for this.
The Fresca givers of the world.
Ryan, love you to meet my girlfriend, Stormfront. I think we'll be around more. I want us to be a family.
My big complaint of this episode is I don't really know exactly where it's going. I feel like there's too many unanswered things going on, and that the finale is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting for me to feel like this season is tied up in a satisfying way. I mean, obviously they need, cliffhangers for season 3 or whatever, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about making sense of the mysteries that they've created in season 2 in some way. Right now it's just, more mystery. Heads exploding.
Yeah.
We got to find out who's blowing up these heads.
Yeah.
What division or sect within Vought is doing this kind of terrorism.
Last episode, we set up that character, I believe Carol. We assume that's who is doing the head-popping kills that have been happening, throughout the season. But I'm wondering if that's going to be sort of a red herring, that there's somebody else, that they maybe have another secret assassin or something like that.
It's the Congresswoman. She's doing it. She's the play. They're playing both sides. Vought is stirring up the left and the right.
How can I stay quiet after Homelander's war crime?
Everyone just relax.
They have a lot of momentum. It's just I don't know where it's headed.
Right.
And so they kind of have to figure that out and stick the landing all in one episode for me. So that's kind of a task, I think. But, they haven't let me down yet. So I'm excited for more boys.
You are not Game of Thrones, boys. You could do this. I believe in you.
You've got this. You can stick this landing.
Stick this landing. That's what we need from you. Excited. Last episode. Join us next week. We are going to finish strong with the boys. Get you a review, get you some thoughts, like and subscribe. This is it. Big moments for season 2 of The Boys.
Join us next time.